This is Cheers, the old TV show. And it took all of my composure not to laugh hysterically. What's up, people? So obviously I am not in my garage, I'm at VINwiki with Ed.
Hello, everybody.
And I wanted to do this video actually with you and bring it to it because it suddenly hit me. I've been doing this with you now for over 2 years.
How about that? Okay, so yeah, you probably started when we had about 300,000 subscribers or so, about a year in, the summer of 18.
Yeah, I think so. And you, of course, you had your warehouse, your garage space back then.
And now we're in the spare bedroom above my garage. So
which is like VINwiki Studio 3.0.
Correct, yeah. So you never came to the first one that was in the actual warehouse, 20-foot metal ceilings.
Yeah.
No climate control, loud neighbors.
You had to wear a jacket sometimes with that.
It was hostile. Yeah, you'll watch some of the early videos and people will just be huddled in there, freezing cold. It's going to be 35 degrees. Yeah, terrible. But then I moved them into my office there. I took out a wall in the middle of the night one day because I was so mad at how loud it was and how impossible it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then when I moved everything here, I kind of kept the same layout. We're going to mix things up soon, I think, just to keep it interesting.
That'd be fun. You got to evolve a little bit.
I like to think so.
But the thing that struck me so much is, and it's kind of funny to admit this, but I was really excited and honored to come down and tell it back then. And that was right when I learned what VINwiki is. One of my Genius Garage students from the first year actually connected us. Mm-hmm. So that was really cool. And the thing I was most excited about was an opportunity to frankly get a little exposure for Genius Garage. Sure. I thought it was a neat thing. And I liked what you're doing. I liked the stories. So there was a whole car cultural thing happening with VINwiki. But if I can admit this, every time I came down to film stuff, I always thought that was going to be my last time. Because you don't necessarily think something's going to be something. Sure. Or continue. It was always really exciting. Obviously, we recorded a number of videos in one sitting because you have to travel, you get people in and all that. But it was really exciting when that first video came out. And then when we did something else again.
How many have you done so far?
I think better part of, isn't it 30 something?
Yeah, I would think so. And we did, what, 7 or 8 last night. So
yeah,
they're still chugging along. And that's the thing about storytelling. On one hand, as you tell more stories, you get better at constructing stories. But as you tell more stories, you run out of good ones. And
right.
So I remember the moment in which I realized, I don't have a lot more stories. I mean, this is probably 130 into it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
At this point, I'm talking about what's about to happen. Like it's stories that haven't happened yet. Mm. And I think that what's been great from a VINwiki perspective is that we've been able to identify people like you that have had enough interesting experiences to have stuff to talk about, but more significantly, have the ability to properly craft a story with the right amount of backstory, the right amount of intrigue, the right amount of drama, and the right lesson that somebody could take away from it.
That's a good point.
And it's not easy.
No, it's not easy, and it takes effort. You got to think it through before you do it, to an extent, and go. Fortunately, we have the magic of editing, if need be, on occasion. And obviously, you've seen so many incredible stories and know what that looks like, so you can help be like, hey, we need to throw in this, or you forgot this item, something like that can be helpful.
Well, the best stories are the ones that you've told before, and the kind of thing you'd tell somebody at a bar. And if, this is the interesting thing that happened last week, last year, or that time in college.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that you had a lot of those stories in what happened to the Viper and what happened in high school and all the things that you've done that have performed quite well, but they did that because each of them had something that a viewer could appreciate, understand, relate to their own lives, and apply to make a difference. And that's what you want out of a story.
Well, you're exactly right. That is the perfect way and the perfect aspect. And then you kind of get into, have you ever heard of, and I'm not necessarily saying it for all the VINwiki stories, but it's kind of like the old tale of the journey of a hero, or the full circle.
Yes. Of
how like all the old epics have certain things. It's like you start out normal, and then something happens that brings you into this crazy tale and this journey, and then there's like a struggle or a lesson, and eventually it comes all the way around.
For sure.
Do you find that holds true oftentimes with VINwiki stories?
In most cases, yes. I mean, we're confined somewhat by the storytelling medium, that we are on YouTube. And for instance, that means that 4-minute videos don't do all that well. Mm-hmm. They do on Facebook, but on YouTube, you really want to be over 10 minutes for the algorithm to recognize that people are spending enough time in this video to make it worth YouTube's time to recommend it. And strictly speaking, I think that's too long. I think that a good video, a good storytelling video is 7 or 8 minutes long.
Interesting.
And if you look at the first couple of years of VINwiki content, that's what I cut them to.
Oh, okay.
I didn't care about mid-roll ads. I didn't look at YouTube VINwiki as really a profit-seeking thing. It was designed to expose people to my app.
Right.
That was the idea with the VINwiki video, vehicle history app. So I was mostly cutting them to there, but then I started to learn that when I had longer ones, they just did better. For reasons not related to the quality of the story, just they did better on YouTube. And so now I would say we target 10 and a half, 11 minutes. I don't mind. We've had a few lately that were 6.5, and they're great stories. And they stand alone, and they deserve to be there. They may not do as well as a 12-minute story would, but I'd rather them be succinct, to the point, as delivery as much as they can on the clickbait premise. Let people enjoy it.
That is true. And there are some, and even the ones I've told, where, oh my God, I could tell a half-hour story. And I have, and you've sadly had to edit it. I have to admit, even last night, I feel bad for you sometimes, because we'll do them in one swoop, in one thing, and I'm like, poor Ed, man, he has to listen to me keep telling these stupid stories. Like, not that they're good stories, it's just that I'm telling him like 6 in a row, and I'm like, you want to have a conversation, man? Let's talk about life. Like, I get the human element that goes behind it, but I have to admit, I'm not going to let any spoilers out. But Ed told some stories, so I got to be the guy in the chair that you were telling the story to. And it took all of my composure not to laugh hysterically. And I was afraid I was going to mess you up, because I was just like, I'm like hiding my face, like trying to wipe away like the tears of crying. I'm just like, oh my God. But that was actually a lot of fun. I don't even know. I think you told what will be your funniest story you've ever told.
You think so?
I do.
Well, some things have to happen for it to be safe to release publicly, but we'll find out soon enough. But usually, I sit right here and look at my empty chair and tell a story. And lately, if it's more like advice-oriented stuff, like how to negotiate, how to buy a car, how to sell a car, I'll just look at the camera like a normal person. But it's nice to actually have somebody sitting there so that I can kind of gauge the response and know if I hit something the right way.
Exactly. But it has been an amazing journey, and the better part of 2 years. And I never would have thought. I just thought I'd go down and tell a few stories. Hey, that's cool. And then we tell more, and then you get to know somebody. You're kind of part of the lives. You meet other people throughout the whole VINwiki community. And my gosh, now building a Lycan Hypersport with Genius Garage. How cool is that?
It's super cool, and I'm so excited to see it moving under its own power and becoming a real car.
On the track, no less.
I think I really am excited about the next step of finishing the body work, doing all that to paint the car properly, because the bones are now there, but you really need the plastic surgeon to come in. And
very much so.
Yes. Yeah. So, and now you have a mirror. So
that's true. Where we got this thing?
There you go.
One from Sam Hard here.
That's right. Sam Hard finally came through from the junkyard and found us the only Lycan Hypersport mirror. And even the car in the factory at Dubai.
Oh yeah. And this actually, some of the parts in this I can tell are original parts. Like for instance, the third brake light and a number of things on our car are.
Yeah.
So we'll have to scan this and then mirror the mirror to make another one.
Yep. That sounds like a good video title. But I think all those steps let people understand more of what it really takes, because we see these YouTube rebuilds, some of which are certainly abridged for time, and you see all these skipped steps, but you've taken them through the whole process, and I think the end result is going to be great. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where the car ends up, who ends up owning it, who ends up using it, and the fact that it's going to become, a one-of-one useful show car.
Well, exactly.
Have you figured out if there's any Lycans registered in the US?
I haven't.
I don't think there are. One of the press cars, they brought the Hypersport and the Super Sport for Car Week once.
It was like
a silver and a white one.
2-3 years ago.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
And but since then, I don't think that I'm not actually.
Are there any
sure.
other app right now?
Yeah, the VINs are in there.
Okay.
Not all 7, but most of them are. But we got to get W Motors to give you the 8th VIN.
I think they should.
I think so too.
It's running and driving around.
That's it, and it's much better titled as a Lycan than a Boxster.
Yeah, the Porsche.
It's a brilliant car in all ways, but I think that the more Lycan-y we can make it.
Yeah, well, it's going quite well.
Excellent.
It's been exciting, and in a way, so without VINwiki, you never would have done Car Trek.
Correct.
With Tyler and Freddie.
And that's an interesting thing about the world of content creation, because inevitably it has to evolve. You have to make connections, you have to do collaborations, you have to learn all the different ways that you can take advantage of the opportunity to have an audience. And that's something I never imagined, because I didn't set out to be a YouTuber. I didn't set out to have people see our videos. Honestly, I just thought that it was a good way to tell people about the app. And the app has grown well, but in the span of growing to 1.2 million subscribers, the app has 330,000 users. So that's been very consistent. We actually can't tell if it is about 1 download per 4 subscribers or 1 download per 1,000 views, because it's followed exactly.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, we have probably 350 million views and 330,000 users, and pretty much all of the growth in the app is from the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
so it's always strange, but the world of technology entrepreneurism and trying to figure things out.
Well, for sure. And the thing that's been cool about this experience, obviously the VINwiki at its core is the opportunity for people from the community to tell fantastic stories that we all get to share, but has launched many things. It's kind of like I've told a lot of people, in terms of the car community, this is Cheers, the old TV show. Because if you remember that, how many characters came on there? It was such a good character that they did some kind of spin-off.
Sure.
Or that actor ended up getting something else. You had the guy that became the judge at Night Court. He was on there. There was Frasier. And it goes on. So it's fascinating to see how this has affected so many others. People that have set new Cannonball records.
Yep.
You guys are doing that. We're doing a like and build. More people know about Genius Garage, and there's more fans. And obviously I've got my own channel now. So
for sure. Which is awesome to see. It's like, I love that it can become a springboard, but it doesn't typecast you into exactly what the content has to be. And so, in my opinion, no one is interesting enough to need to be heard from every day. Like, our lives aren't that fun. We do a lot of great things. We have a lot of fun, but we don't need to tell people about it every day.
No, there's lots of very dull things we do.
For sure. But whereas I can let other people sit in this chair and tell stories, you can teach. And I think that's the beautiful thing about your channel in Genius Garage, is that we've been able to broaden the reach to so many more people that can learn the lessons, find out information they wouldn't have any other way to discover. And that's what I love to see.
Well, it's very true. And I think people get very inspired from the stories on here, and then they find the people that they most resonate with, those storytellers. And then for my own channel, when you mentioned the teaching aspect, and that's something I like to bring to it, is you try to be entertaining, you be yourself, you talk about things. And of course, for me, it's experimenting a little bit with what's my channel gonna be, where it's gonna go. But with the builds, it's nice to be able to inspire people to become part of the car community, enjoy that in their own way that works best for them. And then of course with Genius Garage, and I get people writing me on every single platform all the time from literally all over the world, saying how much it's inspired them to either be in engineering, going to school, building cars, getting vintage cars, or at least getting back and working on that. And I think that's been one of the most rewarding aspects of this.
Perfect. Well, that's what you want to see, and that's what you hope happens.
But anyway, it's been a great 2 years. I never would have imagined. Thank you, Austin Wright, for connecting us.
Absolutely.
And I don't know what the future brings, but how about another 2 years of storytelling?
That'd be great for me. We'll keep them coming.
Well, see you guys next time.
Be sure to subscribe.